Many people will come in here with no experience in coaching. That's actually one of my roles. And the people I coach is actually through modeling and training, teach them, I think I said earlier, teach them how to do what I'm doing and curiosity, those types of things. And so I think that is our primary expectation. And I would say the people that have failed in our leadership, that is primarily it. They just, now they might be I have one person in mind right now that like we determined not a leadership role, and I don't think they were happy in it. They're a technical person, and we actually put them in a beautiful individual contributor role where they're very happy.
Welcome to another episode of Going Beyond the Title, from individual contributor to leader, where we interview people in the leadership field on what it's like to make that transition. I'm your host, Michael Scarpone, and today's guest is Kevin Thompson. Kevin is with Cambridge Engineering, currently in a leadership role, in addition, leadership and coaching role, I should say, and currently does mostly coaching with internally at Cambridge Engineering. He has 40 years of experience in executive operations and leadership, and comes into this conversation with just a ton of background, both in the coaching area as well as in the ops area. Kevin, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell me about how you got into the work.
The coaching specifically.
I mean, all of it, really.
Yeah, so I'll give you the real Reader's Digest version. I actually I grew up in San Diego, and I had a very early career in law enforcement. And then kind of in my early 20s, kind of realized that really wasn't probably where I wanted to spend my life. And so I just picked up, I had $1,000 in my checking account, and I moved from San Diego to Arkansas to do my undergrad with no idea what I was going to study. And
Nice.
Just fell into accounting, fell in love with it. And so I pursued an undergrad in accounting and got my CPA and ended up going to public accounting and then industry. So my career then was in finance and accounting, and then I just loved manufacturing. I did manufacturing in public accounting. And so then just worked for some great companies that gave me really good opportunities. And so I was able to do some operational leadership, and I did some supply chain leadership and kind of ran a division of one company. But my core has always been the CFO, like the finance, accounting, and then ultimately the CFO role. And then about 4 years ago, when I decided I wanted to kind of navigate into retirement, I told Cambridge, I'd like to retire from the CFO. I'd love to continue to be here in some capacity if you'd like to have me, but part-time. And so we had been talking about this, but not funded it. A couple of our people had actually gone through the Marshall Goldsmith training. So we decided I would go through that and certify, and I'm an advanced coach now. And so that's what I do. I do leadership coaching for our leaders, and occasionally outside of Cambridge as well. I've had a few clients outside. So.
Yeah. How do you like to switch from coaching, from CFO role into coaching role?
I've always loved what I do. I've always loved what I do and where I've done it. I've really, most of my career is at two companies, and both wonderful companies. And but honestly, I told my wife one day, I said, it's kind of sad that I really started doing what I'm absolutely passionate about when I'm 62 years old. It's like, I don't think it's supposed to work that way, but I mean, the coaching gig is just, I enjoy it so much because of the impact that you can have with people, and you're not doing the work, they're doing the work.
Yeah.
But you're walking next to them as they're doing the work. And I've told people, when you have those occasional aha moments in a coaching session, and you just see it land, and they've figured it out. Like, you've just been helping them. I call coaching discovery. Curiosity discovery is what I call coaching. I'm supposed to be curious, and they're supposed to discover.
That's right.
And when they had that discovery moment, I just almost want to cry. It's just like, yeah,
it's beautiful.
We did it. We got there. Yeah.
Interesting that people, and I'm sure this happened to you, people always thank me, for coaching. And I'm like, I just asked the right questions. You did all the work.
It's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, what's something that you're especially proud of in your career?
There's a lot of answers to that, but probably the thing, it happened recently, and I was in a coaching session with a gentleman, and we were about 10 weeks in, and I'm asking, hey, you've been working on these leadership behaviors, and we always talk about how did you do the last couple of weeks, and give me some examples of difficulty and where you were successful. And you were having that conversation, and for the first time, he transferred his examples to a family example, and talked about how what we were working on was impacting his relationship with his wife and his relationship with his children, one in
Mhm.
particular who struggles. And he said he had had an interaction with their son,
Mhm.
and which normally would have been conflict, and he navigated it without conflict using the things that we had been working on. And he told me his wife came up to him, put her arms around him, and said, "You did that better than I've ever seen you do it."
Mm.
And it gives me chills talking about it. And
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, oh my gosh, that's it. Like all this work we do is actually even more important, because we live one life. We don't think we do. We think we have a professional life and a personal. We don't. We have one life, and
Yep.
we bring it both places, right?
That's right.
And that he was able to bring home where it's really, really important to him. And he's doing great work at Cambridge, but he was able to bring it home. And since then, he's shared other examples and how impactful the work that he's doing, not that I'm doing, that
Mhm.
he's doing,
Mhm.
has been in just in his marriage.
Yeah.
And we have a morning meeting where people show the MC shows whatever they want. They about 5 minutes, and most people show family pictures. And
Yeah.
he stood up and he said, and I can say this because he did it publicly. And
Okay.
he said, he showed a picture of he and his wife, and he had 6 months ago had done the morning meeting, and he said, 6 months ago I did this meeting, and I didn't show a picture of my wife because I wasn't sure we were going to make it.
Mm.
And he showed this, and he just talked about how the work that he's been doing here, how he felt comfortable showing a picture of his wife because they were at the best place they've ever been in their marriage.
Mm.
And I mean, I was just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like
Yeah.
that's the satisfaction. That's just,
It sure
it's
is.
just
Yeah.
great.
It sounds
Yeah.
like a great process that you went through with him. What about on the other side of the coin here? A mistake that you learned from.
Oh, wow. Pick one. You know, I made a decision kind of the middle of my career that I needed to make a move. And I let my emotions dictate my behavior in making that move. Not that I didn't do it well. I did it well. In the sense of how I separated from the company, but how I made the decision and the impact of that decision. It was probably the worst career decision I had ever made
Mm.
in retrospect. And
Mhm.
because I let my emotions drive it, instead of really reflecting and, thinking about me and others and my family. And, I had a rough 3 years before I was able to transition here to Cambridge. And it really taught me like pause. Like when
Mhm.
you're really emotional, just
Mhm.
pause. Don't, they say never make a decision, when you're important decisions when you're in a life event, like, or really emotional. And I made a pretty important life decision poorly in that case.
Yeah.
But I learned from it. I haven't done it since.
As you say.
I think about it when I'm ready to do it again. And
Yep.
yeah,
And
that
that's
was a
the
big
learning,
one.
right? That's the
Huh?
learning. That's the learning,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
pause, take a breath, give it a couple of days
Yeah.
or a week or a
Yeah.
month, whatever it
I mean,
takes. And
we could spend a long time on my mistakes for sure, but
uh,
that's one that really comes to mind.
we can definitely trade stories on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Let me talk about people that you see at Cambridge coming into a leadership role. What do you see as the biggest challenge for them?
It's and my answer for this might be a little unique to Cambridge, in that we are a very people-centric culture.
Okay.
So we have very high expectations of our leaders to lead in a people-centric way.
Hmm.
And so results are so two of our core values are unconditional love and high expectations. So if you think about it, unconditional love without high expectations is codependency,
Yep.
and high expectations without unconditional love is abuse.
That's right.
And so, but the two together, done well, are a beautiful combination. And so we love you for who you are, not what you do, but we have high expectations for what you do.
Yep.
So what I end up in my coaching very
Interesting.
frequently is we have very capable leaders in a traditional sense, but they come in not really understanding, okay, I'm in leadership now. I was a really good technician, or I was really good at what I did. But now I have this expectation that I'm supposed to be, we expect our leaders to be coaches. That's actually my job when I'm coaching is to model and train when they're done with me that they can do what I do, right?
Hmm.
Or at least to some degree. And we expect them, we invest a lot in training them to be primarily coaches.
Hmm.
And that can be a struggle. We've had some people that have not been successful because they're, analytical mind that just can't get the EQ. They can't just get the emotional quotient of it. And that's very important for us that we are leaders that lead with love. And that can be hard. And especially when somebody comes from a different environment that isn't that way. It's almost like somebody coming out of the military in a very structured, top down. We are not that way. And they can struggle here to learn, oh, no, no, no. We're not that kind of autocratic type of top down structure. We're a very collaborative structure. And so just teaching leaders how to be a leader, but, be a collaborative leader, still be able to make decisions, but really helping and guiding people to make those decisions on their own.
Sure.
Primarily.
So, I get this a lot. And let me be personal for a second. My son, who does this work also of coaching, training, that kind of thing, works in an organization. And one of their top priorities is to change culture. They're not happy with the culture. They want to change it. You've created a culture that really is wonderful. How do you get people who are coming into the organization in that framework to understand the culture and to embrace the culture?
Yeah, so this is a great one. I get asked this a lot because Cambridge is really unique, and we're known literally globally for our culture, believe it or not, as this little company in St. Louis. So you have to ask what culture is. And for me, culture is shared values, right? It's how we work together under a set of shared values. And so first and foremost, if a company hasn't actually defined and lived out their values, they'll never be able to change their culture. The tension to pull it back to whatever it is will always win.
Yep.
And so the first thing we did at Cambridge, and this was very early in my tenure, and then again, this is in a company that's already 45 years old at the time, with a deep culture, very good culture, don't get me wrong, but more command control based upon the original owner, and we're trying to build this other thing. And so the first thing we did is we have to define our values and then figure out how we're going to live out our values. So what we landed on after a lot of work is our values are care, courage, respect, unconditional love, and high expectations. And then we did one step further and we said, okay, that doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. So what do those values look like in practice? And so we call that values in action. And so for each of our values, we have 5 or 6 examples. So like for courage, the one is grab the mic, which in our morning meeting, it takes courage to grab the mic and stand and speak publicly. So like grab the mic is an example of courage. Respect, an example of respect would be give each other the benefit of the doubt. So we have those. And then honestly, we live them out every day. They are in every conversation, almost every meeting. We stress everything against those values. And then once you're living out those values, then you're building culture, right? Because people will come in and decide if your values are consistent with theirs. And if they're not, 90% of the time they'll deselect on their own.
Yeah.
The organism just won't accept it, and they know it. And then 10% of the time we have to help them find some place that's more consistent with their values. We call that stay well, leave well. If you stay, this is what it looks like. If you leave, we're happy to help you do that in a way.
We still love you, but this might not be the place for you.
Yeah, we love you regardless, and we've had to do that. It's hard, but and I've coached a few people that are struggling with our values, and it's very hard.
It's very hard.
Very hard because that's what I say. I hire values. I train competency. I can't train you in your values.
Yeah. So, boy, ton of questions here. In the work that we both do, you outside of Cambridge and me in various organizations, many organizations have a value, stated values, and they're usually on a wall somewhere. And they're like gravestones when you go into a cemetery. There's a lot of them, and nobody pays attention unless you're looking for a specific site. Yeah. How do you get everybody to buy into that? I mean, I'm thinking more in the work that I've seen, the upper levels of leadership does not carry out the value structure that they've identified, which then sends out a mixed message. How do you get everybody to embrace that? Yeah,
a couple of things come to mind. One is we decided a long time ago that we weren't going to do like a mission vision statement because, like you said, I actually told the company at one time, I said, if we're going to do work on a mission statement, I actually prefer not to participate. I've done this before. It's worthless. it's going to get on a plaque and we're not going to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
so we actually used Lencioni's work in The Advantage. Why do you exist? How do you behave? What do you do? What's most important right now? Who does what? And if you haven't read it, great, great. So we said, we're going to create a why we exist statement. And we spent a year on it, and it was hard work. And we landed on, we exist to glorify God
Uh-huh.
by enriching the quality of every life we touch.
Yep.
So when you come to Cambridge, your job is not to make HVAC equipment. Your job is to enrich lives. And so we enrich lives by making good stuff and delivering it on a timely basis. That's one way we do it, but we do it much more deeply than that. So I
Mm.
should be enriching you right now. I should be enriching our vendors. I should be enriching our customers. I should be enriching other employees. That's should be my why when I'm here.
Hmm.
And so we watch for that. And when we see behavior inconsistent with it, we coach it. And when we see behavior consistent with it, we acknowledge and recognize and reward it.
Hmm.
And we have different ways that we do that. And when you're doing that together, and I've never had this happen before, honestly. It's the only place that I've experienced it. It is actually remarkable. How people will change and how they will. Now, are we perfect? No. Do we struggle? Yes.
Hmm.
Are we inconsistent and hypocritical sometimes? Absolutely. I mean, we're humans,
Of course.
but it's really hard for me to describe this common shared values. When I go into a meeting and there's that conflict, let's say in the meeting, we immediately know we have a set of values on how we handle that conflict. One of those things is, hey, give that other person the benefit of the doubt. They're not trying to hurt you.
Hmm.
They actually legitimately feel the way they do. Find out why.
Hmm.
Get curious is another value in action, right? Care, get curious. Like, okay, you're mad. Don't be mad. Be curious. Start asking
Yeah.
questions. And so the behavior reinforces the expectation. The expectation reinforces the behavior. And when you practice it for long enough, it just becomes the DNA of the organization. And I think at Cambridge, that's where we are. It's actually our DNA.
Okay.
We actually interview for values. And if we get a sense that your values aren't aligned, and they don't have to be perfectly aligned, like I said, to glorify God, right? I said that statement. We don't make that we just want you to know that our owners are faithful people and you're going to feel this while you're here. But our expectation is enrich.
Hmm.
And you can believe whatever you want to believe. That's fine. Like, we don't make any judgments about that. And we have this beautiful conglomeration of people, everything from atheists to deeply faithful people to whatever. And they all work together under those values because they can share those values, right? And then people take those values home, which
Yeah.
our owner actually says his goal is in enriching is he wants everybody here to go home happier and healthier than when they came. That is
Mm.
success for him. And
Mm.
he's passionate about that. And so he could make anything. He doesn't actually care what he makes. It just so happens we make HVAC equipment. That's not why he takes the risk and invests in the company. His stories are when he hears like the story I told you.
Yes.
That's his success. And that just you said top down, like we all know that about him, and it just filters down. And then I'll give you another example of like how a leader needs to lead. We It's been about 12 years ago now. We made it inside all these big changes. We decided we were going to do kind of an approach to lean where one of the things we were going to do is, servant leadership is important here. We were going to clean our own building. We were going to get rid of our custodial staff and just, we take care of the building. We live together. We take care.
Hmm.
And we had some guys come back from visiting another company and said, we're going to start in the bathrooms. We're going to have everybody clean the bathrooms and clean, we're like, okay, that sounds awesome. Hang on a minute though. How about we do this? How
Hmm.
about the executives and you, 3 guys, start cleaning the bathrooms? We don't say anything to anybody. We just start doing it. We just start cleaning. And we did. We didn't tell anybody. We didn't make anybody. We didn't do any. We just started cleaning the bathrooms.
Wow.
And people are like, why is Kevin cleaning the bathroom? And then that gave me an opportunity to tell them why. And
Mm.
you want to join me? Love to have you join me. If you want to join me tomorrow, clean the bathroom, vacuum the carpet, whatever you want to do. And now today, we every day at 8:30 we stop for our morning meeting. We stop production for our morning meeting, last 15 to 20 minutes, and we do a half hour of what we call lean and clean. So you go back to your space and work on lean improvements, or you're assigned a cleaning area. And yeah, we
I
just
love that.
everybody does it. Does
Yeah.
everybody clean the bathroom? No.
No.
Like we do have people that say, I put myself through college cleaning bathrooms. I swore I'd never clean another bathroom. Awesome. Like, but you can vacuum a carpet. You
That's
can
right.
clean the tables in the lunchroom.
That's right.
My job right now, I don't know why, but I'm the only person that does it. I clean our coffee machine. That's just my
Yeah.
thing. I know how to clean the coffee machine, so I walk over and I clean the coffee machine. And people
Yeah.
tease me about like, you
As you
know,
were speaking, I was thinking about the endless controversy in most organizations are all cleaning the kitchen and how they have got to have people sign up for that task of, and what you're saying is just people do it naturally.
yeah, we our expectation is leave it better than you find it. And so if you eat at a table, we actually have Windex on the table with paper towels. You clean the table when you leave. Just clean the table. Does everybody do it? No.
Hmm.
But most people do, and it's just natural. And what's funny is we do it other places now. Like if I'm in a public bathroom and there's water on the sink, I clean the sink.
I do that too. Yeah.
It's just like it's like I'm somehow my DNA changed. I'm like I can't stand this. I got to clean this sink. You know.
Yeah. I want to talk about this. You've mentioned this several times with unconditional love, which is such a powerful concept, right? It's really being in the present and really being with the person that speaking. How do you get folks to embrace that? And how do you define that?
Yeah, that I think people embrace it when they feel it,
Hmm.
right? That's just human nature. I mean,
Hmm.
we've had so many people come here and they go through the interview and they hear all that stuff and they see our morning meeting and they kind of see flashes of it. And I'll talk to them a month later and I'll be like, "So how has it been? Have we met your expectations? Have what we told you when we were interviewing turned out to be reality?" And without exception, they'll say it's even better than I thought. Like I had one guy tell me, "I actually didn't believe it, but it's actually better than you described it." And when they start to feel it, because they probably haven't felt it before in a work environment, it's really weird. Like it's really unusual for people. We even have visitors will tell us. Like I was talking to a guy yesterday whose son is just graduated from college, and he had come to Cambridge and shadowed one of our engineers and attended our morning meeting. And he said, "Dad, I'm interviewing and I'm benchmarking against Cambridge. And if they're not like Cambridge, I won't work there," which I would coach him otherwise, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But I appreciated the sentiment. Like the sentiment was beautiful. He saw a culture that he wanted to be a part of, and now he's using it as a benchmark to
Hmm.
see if a cultural fit. He actually realizes that the cultural fit is really, really important. And we do have people come here and they're not successful. Like
Sure.
it's just like I need a higher expectation. I need one that holds people more accountable than I feel like you're holding people accountable because we can over nurture too. That's one of our
Yeah.
downfalls is we can
Yeah.
over nurture. Like we can take too long to make hard decisions about people. That's stuff we're working on. But yeah, I think yeah,
Yeah. So the use of emotional intelligence in your entire company seems to be the main um, platform, for lack of a better word. All those gray things that we speak so nobly about, but very few people uh, enact because they're so focused on the transactional stuff.
yeah. So I'll give you an example. Like there's all these evaluations. There's Myers Briggs and
Yep.
it's just tons
Yeah.
of them. You can do a million of
Yeah.
them. And we actually have started doing one with a local company. It's called Life of Value. The
Hmm.
company here is called Undivided, and it's actually an assessment of fulfillment. And it's 6 areas across your whole life: financial, personal, professional. I don't remember them all, but it's an evaluation of how fulfilled you are. And so they take that test. They don't have to share the results with us, but they
Yep.
can if they want to. And it gives you like a 3-year plan. You can develop a 3-year plan on how to be fulfilled in areas that maybe you're not feeling fulfilled outside of Cambridge. And we will work with them to say, okay, how can we contribute to these areas of fulfillment that don't have anything to do with us, but we know we can influence them on how we treat you or what we do with you or how we help with your professional development. And that to me is like that's that thing where we actually have something called it's either called One Life or One You. I always get them confused, but it's basically one you. There's only one you, and we want to be inside the you that you're trying to build, and
Hmm.
in a reasonable and rational way. I mean, it's not like a cult or anything, but we want to contribute to it. We want to know, like, we'll have people come to us and I'd like to be financially fulfilled. Okay, how can we help? Like, um, and we'll
Yeah.
talk to them. There's financial counselors. We can hook you up with people, and they'll come talk to me because that's my expertise, and I'll help
Yeah.
them with a budget or whatever. So
I love that. I'll take a look at the life of value. It sounds like a great assessment for sure. Um, so, people coming in to a leadership role, what kind of skills should they have, or what kind of things should they be thinking about? They've got the culture kind of embraced in them. The values that you articulated. What else do they need?
Yeah, I think for us, I said we will initially and primarily interview around values. We will obviously determine whether you have the competency to do the job,
Right,
right?
right.
But when it comes to leadership, I mentioned before, we're looking deeply for the ability to be a coach because we do expect our leaders to coach, that we
Mhm.
want their primary behavior to be coaching. Now, they will direct, they will teach, they will mentor, but we want them mostly coaching. And so
Mhm.
many people will come in here with no experience in coaching. That's actually one of my roles in the people I coach is actually through modeling and training, teach them, I think I said earlier, teach them how to do what I'm doing and curiosity, those types of things. And so I think that is our primary expectation. And I would say the people that have failed in our leadership, that is primarily it. They just now they might be a one. I have one person in mind right now that like we determined not a leadership role, and I don't think they were happy in it. They're a technical person, and we actually put them in a beautiful individual contributor role where they're very happy. And we just had to have the courage to say, you know what, this individual contributor role for you is going to be healthier and better for everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But I would say that's the biggest thing for us is that ability, be empathetic. Um, and I tell people it's really hard to lead at Cambridge sometimes because there is this kind of loose emotional component to our leadership that can be really hard for people to put their hand on. Like
Yeah.
for expectations, like I don't know what you expect me to do. Like just tell me what you expect me to do. And I go, well, we can model what we expect you to do. We can train you in some skills and some behavioral
Yeah.
skills, but it's kind of got to be in your heart as well. You kind of have to have some natural ability and empathy and understanding and um, and the other traditional leadership skills of courage and doing hard things at hard
Yeah.
sometimes. And
The question that popped into my head, I mean, Cambridge always has these values that they've enacted. Was the culture set when you got there, or did you have to create the culture? And if so, how long did it take?
I mean, there was obviously a culture when I got here. I came in 2010, so 16 years ago. It was, like I said, it was more kind of that family based. It was a much smaller company. It was about 60 people when I got here.
Okay.
It was owned by the founder. I actually helped transition to G2 when I was the CFO. And the son is very different than father, probably 180 degrees. So father was more of a 60s, 70s, little patriarchal, lovely man, lovely family, but more of the a little bit more command control type of an approach. And son is very collaborative,
Okay.
very, very heart based, very collaborative. And so that was probably the biggest thing is when he took full ownership. Okay, now how do we build a culture around the things that are important to him as the owner, second generation? And honestly, it's still a work in progress. But I would say to get where we are right now, where we've been for a while, I would say it was a solid. I would say the work really started intensively in kind of 2011, 2012. And I would say it was a solid 5 years before I could say, we've got this sustainable where like if key people left, it would continue. Like
And
it would,
that's exactly
if
what you want.
somebody told you today at Cambridge, we're not doing lean and clean anymore, there'd probably be a big disagreement, like not a riot, but people would say, no, I'm doing it whether you want me to or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that sustainability, I would say probably a good 5 years of
Okay. Good. That's good
very,
to know.
very intensive work.
Yeah. Well, we're not. You're not turning a speedboat.
No,
This is a
no.
battleship. It's taken a long time to turn that
Sometimes
boat.
it feels like you're turning an island.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this? I love this conversation, Kevin. Any other thoughts on this?
Um, I when you just talk about like when I was yesterday, I was with a group of people in a student summit, the high school students and kind of early college students, and I was on a panel and got to visit with all the kids. And they all have aspirations of what they want to do and everything. And I've said this to other people. Like I tell people, like and this, and most people are listening to this know this. Management and leadership are different. So a leader will always have to manage, but a manager is sometimes not a leader.
Hmm.
And so I encourage people to leadership and just know as a leader, there will be times you have to manage and control things, but leadership is not management
Yep.
and management is not leadership.
Yep.
And I think when people say they aspire to leadership, they actually mean they aspire to management. And so helping people under that distinction. And then what I say to to people that are aspiring to leadership, do not lead unless you can love unconditionally, because you will be sitting in front of people angry, upset, resentful, disappointed. You will have all these emotions, and you have to show up for that person. Sometimes it's in a way that they aren't going to like, certainly, but you have to show up with love in your heart for that person. So if you can't unconditionally love people, you probably shouldn't aspire to leadership. And there's going to be a lot of leaders out there that disagree with me, and I'm fine with that. It's okay. I'm just speaking to my experience, and it actually took me a lot of years to understand that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and realize I was doing it, but I was doing it not intentionally, just kind of my own ethic. And then when I
Yeah.
got really intentional about it and better at it, and just trained myself at it, um, I realized how important that is. And if you don't want to call it love, call it care. If you're not comfortable with using love in a business environment, that's fine. Just call it care. Like if you can't care about people, then you shouldn't lead.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fabulous. When I was doing my graduate work in psych, one of the books that was required reading was Teach Love, because that is what you are. And, again, important concept, an important thing to practice. If people want to get in touch with you, Kevin, how can they do so?
I'm on LinkedIn. Just reach out on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way to do it. And then, if we want to connect, I'll give you my email and we could connect via email. That's how you and I did it. You reached
Yeah.
out on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and we just connected on email after that. So
Well,
that's easy.
I really want to thank you. This is a real powerful conversation that I know I will send to a number of clients who are talking about culture.
Yeah,
Um,
glad it's helpful. And like I said, I do, in the right situation, in the right environment, if it's a good fit and somebody wants to do some leadership coaching, I will consider that. But like I told you off camera, I'm not building a business for it. It's kind of opportunistic, but I do meet people that I just fall in love with.
yeah. Yeah.
Had one yesterday that I just fall in love with and I just want to work with. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that,
When the synergies are there, it truly
yeah,
is amazing,
yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
Well, I want to again thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and we're going to sign off again, Mike Scarpone, and I look forward to seeing you on the next edition of this podcast. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.